If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe. I'm here to make sense out of the senseless right here on shrmedia.com. Conservative media done right. And also on our good friends, KLRN. We're going to have a special tonight. And as you can see, we're coming in an hour earlier. So I'm going to bring everybody in and introduce them. We'll let them introduce themselves. First, we have, no introduction needed, the great BZ.
I'm not so great, but I am your conservative Sherpa. And what I do is I guide you through the maelstrom of Democrat and leftist and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Mark 1, Model 1. That's me. Thanks, Joe.
No problem. And next up is General Manager of KLRN, Rick.
And good evening, gentlemen. How are you? And actually, for tonight, we're going out on our digital beacon feed because KLRN is going to be in use. So you guys are going out on my feed and on our news feed on the other side. So,
all right, that's perfect. And last but not least,
I'll go with least.
The young one we bring in now, Sackhead Sean.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
What does that mean?
Yeah. And I'd like to welcome everyone to Four Old Bastards Talk About an Election. Thank you so much for being here.
That's 3 old bastards and a youngster to you, sir.
And you jinxed us.
How did I jinx you, Joe?
Rumble's acting up.
Well, it was acting up early today on my show, too. They may be having a feed issue.
And last night.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with them. I wouldn't sweat it too hard.
But hey.
We can upload it.
4 out of 5 ain't bad.
Yeah, that's shit. Batting 800.
Yeah. Damn. I couldn't figure that out that quick. All right, so what we're going to do is tomorrow's the election. So hopefully, if you haven't voted yet, you're going to get out there and vote tomorrow. And as the great BZ said, vote like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark, and brother, it's raining. All right, how do you guys feel about the election, BZ?
Okay, I have my private feelings and I have my public feelings. And my public feelings must overweigh this. Damn. Who saw 2016 coming? Sackhead Sean, you and I did a 2016 show that was probably one of the most fun shows. That thing was what, 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, at least.
But you and me and Clint and some other people that we managed to get on there, at the beginning, things were rather solemn, just to say. And then as the night wore on, oh my, did it get entertaining. It was absolutely wonderful. Now I'm hoping for that. And that's my private feeling coming out. But my little ticker inside, because my factory issued heart attack is just around the corner, says something similar that you got to act like Trump is 20 points down. And the thing that I go on is I am this old. You have to cut me in the middle like a redwood tree and cut and count my rings. Is Mr. Harms, my civics teacher in the 60s, said essentially, Democrats don't win elections. Republicans lose them. This is our election. We have it. It's ours to lose, which is why we've created this show. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. We have it potentially, but we must make sure that it's actually manifested. People get ballots. They vote properly, or you'll see very bad things come January 20th.
All right. Rick, how do you feel about the election?
I've stopped trying to predict elections since I got 16 and 20 wrong, because I was convinced he was going to lose in 16, and I was convinced it was going to be a landslide in 20, and I was wrong both times. I will tell you that the energy this election cycle feels a lot more like 16 than it did 20. And I will say the early returns have me marginally kind of upbeat about tomorrow. I mean, because I've got a couple of pieces coming out on Twitchy later, because they have me in charge of the Nevada and the Arizona returns yesterday or tomorrow during the live blog. So I've started to get some stuff out early. One of them shows a contrast in polling, because there's one poll that shows in Nevada she's up by 0.8. Another shows that he's up by almost 6. And same thing. In Arizona, it's pretty much showing he's up by like 6.5 now, I think, by the pollster that was ruled the most accurate for 2020. But it's the same thing that I've been telling everybody, and it even says this in each one of these pieces. Do not assume this is a foregone conclusion. If you have not voted yet, you need to vote tomorrow. If you know friends that haven't voted yet, they need to vote tomorrow, because the only way that we're going to teach these people that we're tired of their crap is if we show up in a way that proves to them that we are tired of their crap. There is a chance for us to do this, because for the first time in my lifetime, Republicans have gotten on board with early voting. So what we'll need to see tomorrow is, did we cannibalize our day of voting just to make the early voting look good? Or do we have the same amount of people that typically are going to show up on election day that are going to show up tomorrow? Because if that happens, they can't outperform this time. There won't be any way, because there just won't be. I mean, I've seen people that have been doing this longer than I have that are like, if he takes Virginia, and we should know early whether that happens or not, it's going to be a really short night for everybody, no matter what hemming and hawing they do. North Carolina is in play. Pennsylvania is in play thanks to the Amish. I mean, who in the world thought that in 2024 the Amish getting involved in the affairs of the English might decide America's future?
We were saved by the Amish and a squirrel.
I mean, I have to tell you, the squirrel thing might actually influence some voters that haven't decided anything yet.
I actually agree with you a lot. I really do.
Well, government overreach, it shows. But all right.
Do you think they get it, though? Do you think people understand? Maybe they intuit that, okay, yeah, it's a dead squirrel. That was maybe kind of funny, not really funny. But do they think they get the translation to government overreach?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're seeing it a lot, actually.
From the outpouring we saw on social media, I think they got it. If they didn't get it before, they did after Elon's how many millions of followers saw him say government overreach at its finest.
Yeah. All right, last but not least, Zach Trolling, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. And I'll tell you why. Rick pointed to this too. The early turnout for conservatives has been different. The other thing too is, throw out the handful of rhinos that we all knew were always rhinos. The vast majority of conservative voices in this country have coalesced around Trump. There has been minimal infighting. Some minimal. Like I said, I don't count the Liz Cheneys and all those people. They're not conservatives. They haven't been. I don't even look at them as a part of the conversation. Everybody else who actually matters is on board and being supportive. So I think that plays a major role in party unity. We talked how the Democrats for years never fought in public. That was something that they didn't do. Pelosi had that locked down. Everyone who talked to her about being like a crazy drunk old woman, she had the Democrats in line come election season. And now we've seen more Democrat infighting this time around. And that turns into mixed messages when it comes down to the voters, right? Because a lot of people actually consider what their local rep says and does. But it also gives a view on the party of not necessarily having their crap together. And why don't they have their crap together is look how it started. Look at how Kamala became the nominee, right? So I feel good about that. The early numbers, pretty decent. Cautiously optimistic, I think, is the way I'm going to look at it. However, like Rick said, there is a potential, as we've seen with some of these pollings. And again, I don't buy into pollings all that much, but there is a trend to be watched with them. And what you are seeing in a lot of these polling saying it could be an easy, quick night. It could be. If it's not, there is going to be turmoil for days in this country.
All right. Well, that leads us into there is a document floating around Twitter. And let me pull it up. I'm going to take everybody off camera. And when I put this up, is it this one? No, it's this one.
Funny thing is, I haven't been on social media much today. I've got a guest over.
Oh,
I've probably missed this. What is it, Jersey Joe?
I don't know if I can read it. Hang on.
I think you can just read it down, Joe.
Yeah, I'm having trouble even seeing it on my screen. And it's ticking me off. I checked this out earlier, and some of the number here, I'll cheat. What it talks about is going through how Democrats right now are behind majorly in early voting. And that the numbers are showing that Republicans still have a major amount that plan on voting tomorrow during the election. So it's the turnout is massively on the side of the Republicans right now. And I know that doesn't guarantee anything. These are just numbers to look at and information to be out there. Arizona, compared to 2020, urban turnout is down 385,000. Female turnout is down 170,000. Rural turnout is up 14,000. That's in Arizona. I mean, I think that's a pretty big. What is going on?
Well, and I found a Washington Examiner article that goes into that in detail. And I have to say, I can read from the article or not, but who but Trump do you think could have gotten people to vote early? This is unprecedented.
Yes.
Republicans don't do this.
I agree.
I think smart.
This is nuts, relatively.
The RNC being restructured with Lauren Trump, and I can't remember the other guy, the coach here. They've restructured it and done a great job on preparing for the election.
Well, they should have gotten rid of Rona McRomney 2 elections ago.
Oh, God.
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, she was absolutely. Hey, Joe, I think I have a bigger version of this if you want.
All right. Go ahead.
That's what she said.
And so it is.
This is my first for Rick.
So
was that an inappropriate bell? I recognize an inappropriate bell when I hear one.
Well, he just uses that whenever something's right on the nose.
Yeah.
We use it as an inappropriate bell, but same
Thank
thing.
you, Sean. I don't know what was going on with that Twitter one.
That's all right. I just pulled the picture and.
So basically, it goes state by state by state.
Well, the
contentious states and list what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Georgia, the urban turnout, as you can see, is up 153,000. Female turnout.
No, down 153,000.
Yeah, down. I'm sorry.
Urban.
Female turnout is down 46,000. Now, if you've been hearing the media and Twitter and all that, the females are going out in droves. That's bad for Trump. Well, when you look at all these numbers, the female turnout is down, actually. And that bodes well for Trump.
Well, and the Democrats usually do well in early voting, and they're not by and large.
All these numbers are majority Democrat, not all, and it's showing they're not showing up. And then on top of that, they're not going to be out there on election day. That's usually when Republicans turn out in large numbers.
Well, I actually think one of the amazing ones is the Nevada one. You got to remember, Las Vegas and Reno are the high population. Laughlin's a little bit population, but everywhere else it's desolate. So when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people in Nevada, that's a significant number. And when you get to,
and Las Vegas,
yeah, when you get to the urban turnout in a state like Nevada, you're talking Las Vegas and Reno essentially, and they're down 191, almost 192,000, or 191,199. The female turnout out of that group, 126. This is down 126, 112.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built. 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
That is an incredible number.
How many?
Incredible.
42,000 was what Trump lost by 2020?
Nevada?
Well, no, between the swing states that gave it was only like 42,000 votes.
Yeah, it wasn't much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Here's the big one. Is Pennsylvania, Joe.
Yes.
But down
just to put
300
this in perspective for everybody. Sorry, just to back up the Nevada for a second, just to put this in perspective for everybody. The current population for Las Vegas, based on last census data, is a little under 3 million. So looks like the other city that you mentioned is going to be about the same. So we're talking about almost a 5% dip in overall turnout.
That's huge
between the two biggest urban areas.
The trend is so similar in all of them. Yep. Urban down, rural up, urban down, rural up. That's astonishing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And the last big one too that I really see, Wisconsin, it's a big number, but look at Pennsylvania. Look at urban turnout down 381,519 in early voting. Female turnout is down 450,802 for Pennsylvania for females not turning out. Yep. She needs females. That's just what it comes down to. She's
led male voters all over the place. So their hope was that females were going to come out and save the day because, technically they outnumber us. If this many females are staying home in early voting, there's a good chance at least half that number are still going to stay home tomorrow.
Yep. And then when you look at it, they pushed away the male black, the male white. They pushed that away from the Democrat Party, the Hispanic, and, the whole toxicity and, immigration issue. It's pushing people away from the Democrat Party. And now one of the major things she was relying on was the female vote. Like I said, how many of us read something where they were talking how great of a female turnout it was? And now we get these numbers and wow.
Well, and it's propaganda. I mean, we know that.
I think we all said it. We all read it, where there was going to be the psych op this weekend where they were going to put out all these numbers that are not true. They're outright lies. And we all knew it was coming. And it came out as planned.
Well, and you have to realize, too, another major number nobody's talking about. Young males 18 to 24, college age and slightly above, has by and large gone conservative. And one of the major reasons voting for Trump, one of the major reasons is the potential for a draft and a war.
Yep.
So when they say, as Kamala Harris said, what do we know about 18 to 24-year-olds? They're stupid, right? They're not stupid. They are voting for their future. And that being a major portion tells you how in tune 18 to 24-year-olds are with world events and what's going on. That's a major, major number.
Well, and Democrats have managed to alienate almost an entire voting block, male and female. The American black voting block, male and female.
Yep.
You have pissed off some campers in Chicago and numerous other urban leftist rat cages when you decide that you're going to favor illegal invaders over actual Americans.
Mhm.
And that's managed to jerk the chains, so to speak, out of many people in these areas. And their first question is, well, if there are still portions of 1960 or Baltimore from 1968 that look like an after action from an invasion by Germans that didn't get rebuilt, and yet you're going to go ahead and favor illegal invaders, give them all the things that we have paid for, but we're not seeing any benefits from. That's not a good look. These are all trends. My fear is 2016 in reverse. Hillary's going to nail it. 95% for Hillary. That's why I think everybody here, maybe I don't know about Rick, I've said, don't count on a red wave. Don't count on a red tsunami. That bit us in the ass in 2020.
Yeah, well, I've said on my show and social media, right? Foot down. Do not look back until you hear the horn. You just keep chugging. Everybody goes. Everyone votes. If you can help somebody go and vote, you drive them, whatever, as long as it's legal.
Yeah.
Who cares?
But
you
also,
go.
In 2020, Republicans didn't do them any favor. There was a lot of infighting. Yeah, well, maybe not infighting, but they were out in the open and they shot themselves in the foot. I hate to put it that way. That's basically what they did. One thing I want to bring up is a video. Let me pop this out. Van Jones.
Please don't pop it out.
Talking about how the Democrat Party has, chased everybody away. Come on.
Welcome.
Van Jones, communist.
If progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil, it's kind of hard to keep them on your side. And so we might want to think about, if you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected, and we need you, more people might stay. If progressives.
Yeah.
And that's how the party used to be, not to stick up for Democrats, but the party was kind of like that for a while.
All lives matter. Evil, you evil racist. You can't build equanimity upon Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. No one is equal until everybody is equal, and that party refuses to recognize that truth.
Well, that's the one thing that blows my mind is, and I'm pretty sure Sean can back me up on this because we're from the same Generation X. I mean, it was jammed down our throats. You don't look at race. You don't look at race. You don't look at race. You don't look at the skin color. You judge a person. And for so long, it was, okay, I judge a person. We're not going to talk about color. And now that's all we friggin' hear since Obama.
Well, that's the Obama, right? That's the Obama effect, as I like to call it. Yeah. When Barack Obama went on,
I mean, you got to realize he's pulling stuff straight from Rules for Radicals.
Oh yeah, Saul Alinsky. Yeah, no, but he's the first one to really put it into place. And when he turned around and he said, "Trayvon Martin could have been my son," that was the starting pistol, if you will,
and the beer summit.
And the beer summit. Yep. It went on and on. But one of the things too that I think we're seeing is, there's a lot of articles about how wokeism is dying. The other thing too is I think you are seeing more and more people of color in this country not buy into the crap anymore. I think they're just absolutely sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
And
Well, so one of the things that disillusioned me a little bit in the beginning was after the candidate swap, and it seemed like nobody was really upset about it. And then within a few hours, Black Lives Matter is putting out a statement of, wait, why did we anoint this person? And that was when I saw a little bit of a glimmer of hope. And then you start seeing people of color in places like New York City and Chicago that are like, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're coming for your jobs if you don't fix this. We're Americans. We deserve to be treated like Americans, not have, you guys spending thousands of dollars a day to put illegals into fancy hotel rooms when I'm sleeping under an overpass. But and that's my thing. I mean, look, I am by no means in any stretch of the imagination a fan of any form of socialism. But if we're going that way anyway, shouldn't we take care of our own people before we take care of everybody else?
Yeah, it seems like an easy answer. At least it should be. And look, you look at the percentage of veterans on the street, right? If they actually just took care of those veterans, our homeless would drop considerably. And the veterans, as I've said before, they earn it. They deserve anything. I've been saying this for years, and I know
if anybody deserves their tab being picked up, it would be the veterans, because
exactly
they've put in the time, they've done the dues, and if anybody deserves to have their tab picked up, to me, it would be them.
And I actually want to bounce back a little bit to that 18 to 24-year-old vote that we were talking earlier. And we know she's losing that age group for the most part. Over 24. That's all the woke ideology people. They're coming of age into their early 30s, mid 30s. 18 to 24 is dramatically different, because even those woke people grew up under a new internet, so to speak. 18 to 24, they use the internet not to have stuff driven down their throat, but they actually use it to go out and look for information. That's a big change too. They are not going to their parents' house who have MSNBC and CNN on 24/7. They're not listening to what's being said around the table, like back in the day where your parents talked about politics. It's the only time you ever heard about politics. It's what
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What you did, right? Now, this generation growing up, I mean, you got to figure they hit school 18 to 24, they hit school 12 years ago. They grew up with the technology. They know, they're taught in class to go seek out their answers on the internet and how to do it. So that, I think, plays a major portion as to why that group is walking away from Democrats, is they're more informed. And when you have an 18-24 population in America of Black Americans who is 6.4 million, and you're losing that age group, and then you're losing that specific demographic, you're bleeding. You are bleeding votes left and right. And, she hasn't done anything. And Scott Jennings said this on CNN, and I agree. They haven't done anything but played but Trump, I'm not Trump, pivot to Trump, the entire campaign. Very little about where they want to go. Very little about what they want for policies. She's flip-flopped since she's only been in the race, 3 months to 4 months now, and she's flip-flopped on policies in that 4 months.
Yeah.
She has yet to secure any sort of solid standing. What was that, Rick?
I said she's flip-flopped again because one of her first policy announcements was price controls, and then she backed away from price controls, and then today she's talking about them again.
But what else has she done? Copied almost everything Trump's done.
Including a Jimmy Fallon bit on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and unfortunately our Rumble is down, and I don't know why we're having issues with Rumble at this time, so there's no Rumble feed today. Hopefully we'll have it straightened out for tomorrow's show.
Can I point out something that that Sean pointed out on his show? I think it was last Friday, or maybe it was today, a tweet, an X from Brian Stelter. And this bespeaks volumes. Anonymous TV exec, if half the country has decided that Trump is qualified to be president, that means they're not reading any of this media. And we've lost this audience completely. A Trump victory means mainstream media is dead in its current form.
Yes.
That's tons.
Well, you look outside of Fox News, BZ, you start looking at who the most popular places are where people get their news. X is now at the top of that list. You also have podcasts like Joe Rogan for the opinions, and not just Joe Rogan. There's a ton of other podcasts out there, but I was talking about just his massive popularity in the last couple of years. This new technology, and Elon was ahead of this, man. When Elon bought this, he said, "Oh, it's going to be the place for new media," because we're going to remember going from Twitter to X, networks like ours were getting the kibosh on just about everything we were saying, right? And for it now to be opposite, where, look, I mean, right now we're live on X. We're not being throttled. I have people in my own chat room. We actually are reaching somewhere. New media is going to overtake. And I'll tell you right now, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, they're going to have to change their game up. It just like Stelter said, just like Van Jones kind of said too, because Van Jones is kind of talking to the media as well, because they're the one that pushes the message. They're going to have to change their approach as to where and how they reach people, especially younger people.
They're going to have to steer back to the center at some point. They don't have a choice.
Well, it's that, or they're going to go the way of the dinosaur. All right, I hate to cut everybody.
But then we can turn them into gas.
We're going to have to hit the break, and then we'll come back and we can continue the conversation. You listen to the
Reaver. What are those? Just kidding.
Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and KLRN Radio.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Welcome to Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch Reaver of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as a good revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. Joe will be back momentarily. Just playing out tomorrow night's music. It sounds presidential, doesn't it?
It does. I like it.
So, and if you haven't missed it, if you're watching on one of the other streams, you're wondering where the hell the Rumble is. Rumble's having a problem. I had a problem with on my show earlier today, and other people have had a problem actually activating the feed to Rumble. It's not on our end, it's on Rumble's end. Hopefully they resolve it before tomorrow, because that's would be a major portion or a major deal. Before we go to the break, we were talking about the 18 to 24-year-old group, and really just trying to see what numbers will rally if you're the Harris. I mean, I hate to say it, but at this point, if you're the Harris administration, you have to wonder who's going to show up tomorrow. I think Trump, you look at the energy between the two campaigns, even the last couple of days, even Trump has been more, the Trump campaign's just been more energetic overall. You look at the commercials that they're releasing. I mean, the Shanahan commercial that Trump released was absolutely incredible. It was really a message of we're all going forward together. We have all of these people who came from all of these different places, and we're all on the same team now, and we're ready to go. And I think that, I mean, has anybody even seen a Harris commercial like that online? I haven't seen a Harris commercial at all. I mean, I'll tell you right now,
I've seen Harris commercials, but none of them have been like that. And that's the one thing that I will say that I've been saying a lot more on my show, because I'm done with the red wave. But I will say that if anything, we're building a common sense coalition, the likes of which I've never seen. And I think a lot of people are getting on board with it that wouldn't have before. And this goes along with a friend of mine who I follow on X, who goes by Tams. She's out of Georgia. She lost her son during COVID. She was dead set against voting for Trump ever again. And then the electorate made a decision for her. So even though I put out an article through the Misfits of Politics website that basically outlined all the reasons she would never vote for him again, she just voted for him again the other day. And it's primarily because of folks like Tulsi Gabbard coming over, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. coming over, Elon Musk coming over, all these people that are coming from every political stripe, every walk of life, all coming together for the same reason. And that's to make America what she was once before. I mean, and the thing that I find the most interesting from the left is, on one hand, they're telling you that everything about America is racist, but then when Donald Trump starts pointing out how broken things are in America, he's the bad guy. And that's not resonating with people anymore.
No, who broke it? Let's go back to that 18 to 25 thing. The first thing that comes to my mind is 18 to 25. You see them allegedly starting to roll over. The first question is why? Why? Why is that? They should be firmly entrenched in the Harris camp. So everybody here, why? Why aren't they in the Harris camp?
Because they're getting the information. They're getting the information. It wasn't spoon-fed to them. They're able to go right now and just pull up everything that they want to see. And I think that's one of the things that is amazing. And it's really, politicians and media, BZ, have not learned that the internet is a real thing that works. I don't understand. Forever. They try so hard to lie and twist words. Look, you just had Obama, Saturday? Throw out the whole "they're very fine people" hoax thing again.
Yeah, I listened to that. Everything he said was a lie. Everything.
And has been proven a lie repeatedly. And the fact that they threw that out tells me they're still trying to rally their own base. They're not reaching out to other people. They can't even rally their own base.
They can't rally their own base at all, or she wouldn't be spending so much time in Pennsylvania right now.
Well, let me show you a video also for an ad for Kamala. And this one had me kind of, what the hell? This shows just what a liar this woman is, what this party is about.
You want to talk about violence against political opponents?
Wait a minute, that's not it. I'm sorry. It's not where I thought it was. Go ahead.
One was good too.
Oh yeah, this was good. Let me actually play that because it is.
Say, you've already got it pulled up, and might as well just run with it.
Yeah, that was glorious.
Opponents. Let's talk about the fact that Democrats have been labeling President Trump a threat to democracy for the better half of 10 years. Let's talk about how they have compared him to Hitler, one of the worst mass murderers in the history of the world, and that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden weaponized the court system and the justice system in this country against Donald Trump in an attempt to imprison him. He sat through a courthouse for 7 weeks this past year, and the Democrats were hoping he would go to jail for it. That is real political violence that has led to 2 heinous assassination attempts on President Trump's life that, by the grace of God, he was able to escape, and he is here with us today. So yes, President Trump knows a little bit about political violence because he's experienced it himself. And talking about the tragic realities of war that Liz Cheney and her father, Dick Cheney, have got this country into is not political violence. It's talking about the reality of the foreign conflicts that the Washington, D.C. establishment have sold out young Americans to for decades.
Yet, of course, after those attempted assassination attempts on the former president's life, his opponents reached out to him and said,
She's dancing. She didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
They do not accept political violence. That has been a key difference. I do want to play you.
No, please. His opponents are saying to this very day the same rhetoric that led to those 2 assassination attempts. The second attempted assassin on President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a threat to democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie. And yes, you will take political violence like we have seen in 2 instances against President Trump. Last week, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris said that everyone who showed up to President Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a Nazi. That's despicable, dangerous, divisive rhetoric that is spewed by the Democrat Party every single day. And I am so sick and tired of the media pointing the finger at Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
We need more of this being called out live on the shows, not just online, but on their shows. Call them out on this bullshit that they've been doing. We've allowed it to go on too much.
Well, Joe, and the other thing that you can notice too is you see how they've pulled the anchor off screen so she can communicate with the
whoever that producer is a good dude or dudette and wanted to emphasize that.
Well, I think they're hiding the anchor. They're hiding that anchor to make because she's right now she's doing the hands up. What do I do? She's going on a tangent. What do I do? Do I cut her off? Are we going to dump her? What do I do?
Yeah. All right. Let's.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with that. I think she's communicating because some of us have done this professionally in studio, so there's a whisper option. So at this point she's off camera and she's got somebody in her ear and she's talking with them using their talk back. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I guarantee you that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yep.
In this clip.
The other thing before we go is I'd like to point out this one very, very, very salient aspect. Prior to this, in the past 4 years, how many actual cogent representatives of conservatives and Republicans have we had that are actually that are virile, that know how to speak, that know how to address issues, that are able to address these things and think on their feet and act and react?
Yes.
Not very many. Those numbers are climbing now.
One of the fundamental shifts that Trump has brought to the party.
Well, for how many years it was Republicans had to take the high road. We had to be a little quiet. That would have been disrespectful, and now you got to call it out. You can't let it go on.
Trump and saying that he is sowing division in this country. He is not. The media is for pushing hoaxes like the one that you all pushed today, and the Democrat Party is for pushing lies about him. But the good news is Americans don't buy it. And that's why today in 2024, President Trump is more popular than he has been since 2016, because people don't trust the media and they're not buying the Harris campaign's closing argument that he's some great threat to our democracy, because they lived under him for 4 years as president, and our democracy and our country was stronger than it is today.
And one of the things the playbook that they're using against Trump is the exact same playbook that they used in 2016, and none of it came true. And I think a lot of people are going, wait a minute, they said that back then, and it's not adding up.
Well, and I agree with you, Joe. I think that's a great point. What they're also doing is saying, look, this is the evil that's right around the corner if you vote for him. And a lot of people are turning around going, wait a minute, he was already president for 4 years and none of that happened.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing that's just been driving me nuts, if I'm being honest, because this is what I've heard from everybody from the moment he got the nomination. He's not telling us enough about what he's going to do, and she's not telling us enough about what she's going to do. Neither one of them need to do that. She's already told you, hey, I'm not Joe Biden, but I wouldn't change anything, and he's already done the job. So what other color books and crayons do you need to get a complete picture for yourself, the difference between these two campaigns?
Because
I don't know color books and crayons. Which one do you like? Yeah. I mean, you saw what he did for 4 years, even through COVID. You know, they try to throw out too that, oh, Trump spent more than any other president. Well, yeah, during COVID.
He kind of had to.
Yeah, the country was shut down. People couldn't afford food because they weren't working. Like there was a different set of circumstances. So yeah, he added more money. Agreed. But what was he doing prior? How much manufacturing was he bringing back? Remember, I tell. Huh?
Can I give you guys an example real quick? I used to work for the University of Oklahoma. I started there in 2013. I got one raise after I completed my 6-month probationary period until he got into office and was sworn in 2017. In 2017, from 2017 to 2019, I got 3 raises in 2 years. And I'm not talking little quarter raises, 50-cent raises. I'm talking $1.25 at a pop. And I wasn't alone because the same party that was screaming for the fight for 15, all of a sudden fast food restaurants were like, well, since he's getting out of our business, we're going to put more money back in our people's pockets. For the first time since I can remember when, wages were going up, and it wasn't because the government said, hey, you need to raise minimum wage. It was because the government got out of the way and businesses were like, okay, now you're taking the boot off my neck, so now I can actually pay people more. Because as somebody who owns businesses and has owned businesses, you guys nobody takes into account all the things you have to pay for behind the scenes. As somebody that probably should have waited until after this election, I started an LLC this time last year. You know, the whole, you pay the state filing fees and it's done. Yeah. It cost me $4,000. That was a hell of a lot more than the state filing fees.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, with the raise, Joe, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we also had that big tax cut with him where we started taking home even more money. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was going to bring up talking about the economy and how bad it is. And one of the things people don't talk about is the Democrats in a lot of states pushing up the minimum wage. That helped hurt our economy. That's another thing that did. And they're still pushing to go higher wages. Oh, it's not going to hurt the economy. Bullshit, it isn't. Okay.
California has laid off so many or cut everybody back to part-time. And the other thing that it did is it caused a couple of locally owned mid-range chains to close down completely.
Yeah. But they don't look at, okay, let's just take a McDonald's job. The burger flipper gets a raise. Well, now he's making almost as much as the manager is, so he needs a raise. Well, the delivery guy that's delivering the food wants more money than that, so he needs a raise. The workers in the warehouse, they want a raise, and it just keeps going up the chain of command until, you know, and they don't realize that.
They don't understand the nature of people.
Well, and they also don't understand basic economics. And the reason for that is they've grown up in a nation where the government does not treat money as real because it's not real anymore, right? I mean, it used to be backed by gold and then silver, and we had a cap that was built in. Now that money is, I've said this for years, money's a belief at this point. Like, we all believe that money works. That's the only reason why it works. If the government came out tomorrow and said pots and pans were the new currency, we'd all be running around trying to get pots and pans, right? It's not tied to anything. So when you start talking about raises and you're selling it to this generation who does not understand how money works, that's wise, because they're like, well, we have all this money in the world. They can just keep printing it. They tell us they print money all the time. They raise our debt ceiling. It's fine. Money's not this thing. So why don't we just hand it out? Because the ideals of socialism have been beaten into the heads of these kids of thinking that that's how money really works. And it doesn't.
All right, I'm going to jump gears here a little bit. I found the video I was going to play. Kamala Harris has 2 ads running, one in Pennsylvania and one in Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Play that bad boy.
Play that funky music, white boy. Oh, wait.
Oh, I thought I
Play
had
that funky music right.
Don't give up your day job.
We're here because of the singing, clearly.
This is my day job.
Tonight, mixed messages. A K-file investigation this hour finds Kamala Harris is targeting crucial battleground voters with vastly different messages on Gaza.
And real quick, CNN.
I know.
And Israel. This ad is running in Michigan, which has the largest Arab population in America.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
All right, well, it's a very different story for an ad in Pennsylvania targeting Jewish voters.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
Different message. Andrew Kaczynski is out front now. So, Andrew.
I'm for Israel until I'm for Hamas.
You can't stand on both sides of the street, right?
This goes back to something Sean was talking about earlier. This just proves that, and I don't know when it happened, because at some point the Democrats became the party that do not fucking understand the internet. Because you cannot put out in this day and age, you cannot put out a different message in two different places and not expect everybody to be able to see it. That would have worked 30 years ago, but it's not going to work today.
I'm shocked. You mean people can actually go back into archives and see? Listen, folks, if I can find crap on the internet, anybody can find crap on the internet.
Did you see the protests that are going on at a rally in Philadelphia tonight?
Yeah, no, I heard that there was some. Yeah, I heard that she was getting
at her rally.
Yes.
Yeah, at her rally.
Oh my!
Well, and you have to remember too. You have Trump getting up in Michigan, getting a huge support from Muslims.
Yeah, Rashida Tlaib is not endorsing Kamala Harris, by the way.
Yeah,
Minnesota, and Somalians are backing Trump.
Yeah. No, and it's so funny because they tell you how and this goes back to the demon that they try to and the boogeyman that they try to turn Trump into. You look at all of these groups who will stand with him knowing what his policies are. He's been clear about all of his policies. Mm-hmm. But what he did in the Middle East, the Abraham Accords, he started, and I'll tell you right now, I understand that there are the religious zealots and the Islamists. Throw those people out. The average person whose family lives over there that lives in America, they don't want blowed up. The normal, just regular person who has relatives over there don't want them blowed up. And they don't want them blowed up from anybody. Trump did more for peace in the Middle East than anyone's done in, 50 years? With the Abraham Accords?
Peace.
U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But why was there peace in the Middle East? What did he do when he got in office in Syria?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, he sent a message right away.
Missiles.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. I'm going to bomb the shit out of you and not apologize about it.
It was Syria. He basically took our boot and stuck it right on Iran's neck. But this goes even further, though, because all of this is playing out in ways that the left doesn't want anybody to see. And this goes back to what Sean was talking about earlier. The 18 to 24 crowd is so media savvy and internet savvy now that they're finding all of these things. I mean, and now you've got Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan. The mayor of Dearborn, Michigan just endorsed Donald Trump.
Well, the other thing is helping is like Elon Musk. And I'm not trying to, jump on his coattails, but him buying Twitter.
Jump on his coattails. I'm trying to jump on something else at this point if it gets me attention. I'm just saying.
Okay. Hey, can I tell you guys about an article from the New York Post real quick?
Go ahead.
This is from 2 days ago. This is the headline. Prominent white supremacist Richard Spencer endorses Kamala Harris. One of the United States' foremost white supremacists is urging his followers to support VP Harris in the presidential election. Richard Spencer, an avowed racist, anti-Semite, admirer of Nazism, who coined the term alt-right and was a featured speaker at the 2017 rally in Charlottesville, called Harris the best manager of the American empire.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, because she wants to blow shit up.
By the way, I sent that to you.
Yeah,
it doesn't shock me one bit. It really doesn't.
Well, so just one more quick point, because I saw this today and it literally floored me. Because you remember all the way through 2020, basically 2017 to 2021, we were the laughing stock of the world according to the left, and everybody hated Trump and nobody wanted Trump in office. Do you know that there are prayer vigils around the world right now praying that he gets back into office?
Yeah.
People
Have you seen Japan?
Praying for Donald Trump. Japan is praying that Donald Trump gets back.
They have
into
parades. Japan has parades. Other countries have had parades for Trump in their own country.
Yeah. But then you have what is it, Denmark? Like 85% of the people are for Kamala Harris.
Well,
that's
because
bias.
Yeah, I mean,
and Soviet Britain as well.
High. I mean, 85% of Denmark is high, so there's that.
Well, but they live in a socialist country where they're told to embrace socialistic values, right? And you look at Britain. Why does a majority of Britain not want Trump? Well, you look at who the majority of Britain is now, and they'll tell you exactly why. And a lot of those European leaders don't want Trump because what did he do last time? He made them kick money into NATO. He made them spend. Oh yeah, he made them spend.
Yeah.
Hey,
when they have to build their own military, they can't spend money on the rest of the stuff, and socialism falls apart. It's real great when we're paying for your military.
Yep.
100%. It's great when we're the ones footing the bill. I think that was my favorite thing because, you know, the guy that's supposedly Putin's puppet looked right at Germany and said, no way in hell am I paying to defend you from the same people you're buying oil from. Get your shit figured out.
And we're not building that pipeline. Good luck.
Well, the one thing I know this is probably so small, but it pissed me off with the Democrat Party when they jump on healthcare. Oh, we pay the highest prices. We pay the highest prices for prescriptions and all that. I seem to remember in the 80s when Europe was in trouble and the United States, being as rich as it was, said, well, we'll take on the higher cost to make it cheaper for other countries to have lower cost. And now the same people that have cut those deals are crying about it.
Hey, and you know where healthcare is pretty affordable right now? Same place that has really good retirement because it's American funded. That's Ukraine. We're funding everything in Ukraine. We are funding almost the entire country of Ukraine right now. That's the other thing.
I heard something today that made me laugh, and I think it was Roseanne that said it on Glenn Beck's radio show today because he actually interviewed her. And she was talking about how, you know, everybody's like, how is the election so close? And she's like, everybody seems to forget that 37% of the people who vote Democrat all work for the government. So that's where most of that 49% comes from. And she said, and as soon as they figure out that all their money's gone to Ukraine, eventually they're going to be Trump voters anyway.
Well, and that's the other thing that drives me crazy is people do not realize how much American money, and the fact that we're taking loans and then with ridiculous over $1 trillion a year is being paid to just our interest, just so people know how much we're taking in loans. And then we turn around and give that money out to other countries and other countries that don't necessarily need it. You know, I'm okay. And I've said this before, countries that have famine, stuff like that, I'm okay with food, right? We're American people. We naturally are caring people. We naturally will do things to care for other people. I have no problem with food program, water program, stuff like that, stuff they actually need to live. But the amount of money we send for underwater basket weaving research to Uganda and lesbian interpretive dance research and you know, middle of Uzbekistan is absolutely friggin' insane. And we do it all the time. And then we wonder why we have such crushing debt.
I think Elon Musk put it out. Every American pays $33,000 a day in our debt interest.
Mm-hmm. And we fund the world.
Yeah, but $33,000 a day each person is paying basically in interest on all those loans. And we're giving money to countries to hate us. That'd be like, all right, I'm going to borrow money from Rick because I'm going to give it to my neighbor a couple blocks over that fucking hates me and wants me to die. But I'm going to give him money, but I'm going to borrow it. I'm not going to get it paid back, but I'm going to have to pay Rick back.
Right.
Those people go, I ain't doing that, but they expect our country to do it.
Because they're globalists. That's the problem. We're dealing with globalists, and the Democratic Party are parties of globalists. Look at.
Well, I think you got a couple on the Republican, and I know he's.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
You know, they wanted that one world government, and what did Hillary say when she was running? She was going to NAFTA, not NAFTA. I can't remember the name of it. It was like North American, where it was Mexico, United States, and Canada would become like the European Union.
Yeah,
no,
and you look at how that's turned out for the European Union. Not so well. BZ?
Can I share this video?
I love this.
Before the break.
This is well, I'll just let it speak for itself. But this is what you'd get in the future. Oh, damn it. How come it's not playing? Oh, here we go.
Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about. And so you could imagine that kind of sentiment being around the world. If we have an embassy in another country, no one's going to touch it because
it's 4D chess is what that is.
Yeah. But if you go back to Vietnam War, we kind of had that war won. Beautiful. Shit. Why am I drawing a blank? He got kicked out of office.
Nixon
told the Viet Cong, you come back into Vietnam, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Cambodia. And when he went out of office, they went into Vietnam and we did not back up the threat. And that's when the war went south. And that's exactly what Trump did. He came in and said,
well, that's the biggest fault of the Vietnam War is the generals were not running the Vietnam War. The politicians were running.
Well, you could only have so many bullets a day.
Well, when you have rules like the U.S. jets can only fly a certain path, and that path is where the VC and the North Vietnamese lined up all their air defenses because they learned really quickly that's the only place the jets are coming. Why? Because politicians were afraid that if they hit, and you could not take those jets, you could not take out those anti-aircraft units because they were so afraid that if they took out those anti-aircraft units and a Russian got killed, we would be in a war with Russia. I know we're up against the break. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, but also it's just they were literally told they were only given so many bullets a day. Mm-hmm. These soldiers. Oh, I got to go into a gunfight. 1, 2. Oh, I got to conserve.
Well, there's another reason though too. The reason, if you noticed, ever since North Korea, we've started doing police actions instead of full-out wars. That's because after World War II, they interconnected all the world's economies. So we can't bomb anybody back to the Stone Age anymore. The rest of the world goes back to the Stone Ages with them. That's why we have to be really careful in war now instead of using people to kill things and break things like they're supposed to.
We could fix that really quickly.
We could, but we won't.
All right, we'll be right back after this break.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Welcome to Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch Reaver of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as a good revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, and I have the pleasure of having...
Okay, next break, you have to come back and say, welcome back into Conservative Masterpiece Theater.
in an NPR voice, welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense.
All right, welcome back. And we have the great Sackhead Sean, the splendescent, the Sherpa of SHR Media, BZ, and the great GM, the Grand Wizard. No, not Grand Wizard. That doesn't sound right.
Ron.
I'm thinking like, D&D.
How about Vizier? Ron Vizier.
I feel like I need to go find a white pointy hat and put it on.
No, do not do that. Do not do that.
Rick. That was a...
Because then I have to run you over with the truck, and it just makes everything really messy for the future.
Or the challenge.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
I would go over the challenger, not under though.
All right, what I want to bring next. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Rick dropped in the chat room about Rogan endorsing Trump, but according to the New York Post, he has.
I was going to say, I just saw that in our chat, but I didn't have a chance to look for confirmation. But it wouldn't surprise me, especially since Kamala was like, I'm only going to do your show if we do this. And then she goes and does SNL instead.
So she did.
You confirmed a rally and made the plane turn around to go to SNL. That told you what she thinks of the voters.
Mm-hmm.
So she never made it to Rogan.
No.
Oh, no.
She could have pulled some numbers out of that.
It's being that she's regretting not doing it.
Interesting little side note about that, though, is John Fetterman, who has had a stroke, who can barely fit two sentences together on a regular basis, sat down with Joe Biden for 2.5 hours.
Rogan.
And Joe Rogan for 2.5 hours and made him seem semi-cogent. He could have done wonders for her.
He wouldn't have, though. So here's the difference. Fetterman always had a personality. As a matter of fact, that's all he was at the beginning. He had a personality. He was the sweatshirt, hoodie, I'll say what I want guy, right? So while he had that going, Kamala is, and I've said this before, she's astroturf. She is a persona. She is not a person. She would have been exposed, and that was a risk assessment that they did, and they realized that her going on with Rogan even for an hour would hurt her exponentially more than it would ever help her.
Did you have to use the word exposed? Because that gave me a really bad image.
Look, some of the things that have already been said tonight, I think me saying exposed is a
yeah, but Kamala Harris exposed. You really
This
have that image in your head.
This from the guy at the opening, and Shirley said, "I want to whip this out real quick."
Yeah, excuse me while I whip
this out.
Such a great movie. Look, Joe,
Sheriff, you can't do it.
I'll be the first one to say, considering the last 3 candidates the Democrats have put up, if I was forced to see one out of those 3, it would be this one between the other 2.
All right. I'll give you that.
Okay. I'm not saying it's the right option. And by the way, I don't want to see our guy either. Like, I don't want to see any of that. I don't want any of them to be exposed. Trust me.
All right. What I'm going to bring up, I want you guys' opinion. And I know it's not the first time this idiot's done it. But tell me if you think this guy broke the law. Helps if I put it on screen.
Oh, but
that's why I need a producer.
There's one other message that I think is important, and it is something that is kind of evoked by all of the craziness and some of the ugliness of his campaign, which is I think there's a lot of people, left, right, and center in this country, who are just yearning for a more normal future, one with, frankly, has a more normal Republican Party. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for politics not to be punching you in the face every day, every time you turn on the news, because we can get back to a way of doing things in this country where, of course, we're not always going to agree, but it's not this constant in-your-face.
Get back. Who's been in office the last 3.5 years?
I know.
It just, that drives me.
Death match that it's felt like, whether he's president or whether he's candidate. And I got to tell you, if he leads the Republican Party to defeat the 3rd time in a row, 2020, the 2022 midterms, and now, then it will finally, I think, lead us to a moment where the Republican Party finds some way to part ways with what him and everything he represents. And we can sometimes, just sometimes, like at Thanksgiving dinner, maybe leave politics on the back burner.
I'm going to say this right off the bat, and then we're going to get into this. Even if he loses, MAGA's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. The movement's too big. It's the ideals are too big itself.
This was a tell. What he said right there is a tell. They want to go back to dark politics where it's not discussed and everything's not exposed to the public. They want to go back to where they make all of these deals behind closed doors. They spend all of our money, and we, as the people, not me, just essentially go, oh, okay, well, it was said with a softer tone, so it must be nice. That's a tell. They are so afraid of what he exposes and brings. We don't want to keep getting punched in the face. First and foremost, all right, we've been called Nazis, garbage. Joe Biden said he wants to smack us all in the ass. I know Rick liked that, but the rest of us aren't fans of it. And amongst all these other horrible things, and they're talking about the punch in the face politics. And it's not like this was sudden, like a new thing that they've been insulting us. They've been insulting us for the last 8 years, nonstop.
They've been the one doing the punching.
And it's not I've seen this a couple places. They're saying he's violating his Hatch Act. If he's coming on as Pete Buttigieg, the individual, he's not in violation of a Hatch Act. If he's a surrogate, now if he gets brought in to speak officially for the Department of Transportation, and then he starts presenting Kamala's case, that's different, because now he's actually promoting her he can't do it under the color of his authority. But if he's just doing it as prominent Democrat Pete Buttigieg, who also happens to be the Secretary of Transportation, that's not a Hatch Act violation.
Rick?
Joe, can you share this? Because I'd like to show you who the Party of Peace is.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Or I can just read it.
No, it's up.
Yeah, this is from Just the News. John Solomon is actually a real journalist, by the way, folks. 28% of Democrats think America is better off if Trump had been assassinated. So Americans had strong views of what was driving the would-be assassins to act. 45% suggesting it was anti-Trump rhetoric, 41% suggesting it was news media coverage. However, then most people, basically 17% of voters said it would have been better if America had Donald Trump had he been killed. But a 28 percentile of Democrats said, oh, it definitely would have been much better had Donald Trump been killed. Here's another thing. You guys say Republicans are considering going back to the way things have been. Duh. Here it is right there. That dude wants to get back to the rhino ages where everyone was conciliatory. We believe and we love bipartisanship and compromise. And I'm ready to fillet anybody that the Democrats bring in front of me, including every Democrat extant. That's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, I don't see us going back to the way it was.
Oh, he's going to try to build consensus around that as much as possible.
All these idiots that went and jumped on the bandwagon of Kamala, these Klingons, they expect us we're going to just welcome them back with open arms? Hell no.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look.
Oh, God, yes, they believe that.
I'm a big believer. I will reach across the aisle and work with anybody as long as it's in America's best interest, but that doesn't mean giving up our interest to do so. I don't believe in work. I don't agree to reach across the aisle just to reach across the aisle. I don't think that has to be some sort of part of politics where it's, oh, you're not reaching across the aisle. Well, you know what? We're the party in power. How many times did we get that thrown in our face the first 2 years under Obama when he had the
elections have consequences.
Elections have consequences. Pen and a phone, yada, yada, yada. Now, if there are Democrats that want to cross the aisle because they say, hey, no, this is actually better for America, great. Welcome aboard. We're fine with it. Bingo. I'm also old school in the sense of I have no problems with people being friends outside of the House or the Senate or whatever. You guys can go play baseball, hang out, do everything you want. As long as when you come to the floor, you're still representing the country's values. And as a conservative, you're doing it in a conservative way. That's totally fine with me too. I still to this day thought one of the coolest stories in the world was Scalia's friendship with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and how tight they were. And they were, when it came time to argue in the Supreme Court, they were loggerheads constantly. But they were able to still maintain a friendship and both never gave up their values, whether you like their values or not. They just knew that you can be you have two roles. You have your official role and then you have your personal life. And you just can't give up your official role to be a friend with somebody.
I used to have a boss for one of the transport companies I used to work for. We would pull up together, get out of our cars. Hey, did you catch that race? You know, yada. What'd you do this weekend? Clock in. You goddamn asshole. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're a dumbass. You suck. And we get done. You want to go grab a beer?
Oh, yeah.
We go grab a beer and just talk about life. It was personal, and then there was business. And in business, we had way different ideas on how the transport company should be run. But on a personal level, we got along great. People need to separate that.
It reminds me, you remember the old Looney Tunes cartoon with the sheepdog and the coyote?
Yeah, yes. Sam the sheepdog.
Yeah, Sam the sheepdog. And they would come in, and every day on the way in, they'd bullshit with each other. Then they'd clock in and go about trying to stop the other, and then they'd clock out and they'd go home. And on the way out,
Sam.
Hey,
Fred.
But, I mean,
Morning, Sam. Morning, Fred.
That's how politics used to be. But do you know who changed that? It wasn't the Republicans. It was the Democrats.
Yep.
Because even Reagan would be like, Tip O'Neill and I would fight tooth and nail from 9 to 5. And then after 5:30, if he wanted to go have a beer, I'd go have a beer with him. Yeah. You know who changed that, though? It was them. Because they told him, if you take care of the illegals that are here, we will work with you to finally fix immigration. And then he took them at their word, and they stabbed him in the back.
What happened in California after that?
You want to know when we stopped trying to reach across the aisle as much? It was when y'all scorpion and frogged our asses.
And what happened in California?
If you guys want us to start reaching across the aisle again, you have to show us that you're willing to do it in good faith. Because I don't
immigration doesn't change the voting records in the United States. It's like, look at California.
100%.
What do you mean? Well, in the 80s, Reagan bought the give amnesty, and well, since then it's been blue.
Well, and you have to look at other things too. And I one of the things that we always have to be cautious about, and I've said this before, and you have to be able to criticize our own side as much as you criticize the other side, right?
We do that.
Oh, yeah.
And we do it. But Like I bring up
great. Another
I
one.
bring up the mistakes that Reagan made. Look, part of the mental health crisis we have in this country is directly related to Reagan.
In California and his actions. Correct.
But that model, what do we know about the liberal petri dish of California that grows spores and funguses that want to infect the rest of the country? They grow it here, that mold spawns, and then they throw the spores out for the rest of the country once they started here. So that idea started here, but it has been copied nationwide. Very few states have asylums anymore. Right? They have departments of mental health and stuff like that where the worst, they have a couple of state hospitals now. And actually, most people don't know this. Massachusetts actually has a ton of state hospitals, which is kind of funny. But they don't do that, and that's a huge problem.
Oh,
can I point us back?
Sorry, I was just something popped in my head. I got laughing. Go ahead, BZ.
Oh, well, no, go ahead.
I want to
hear something crazy.
I kind of went to outer space. So go ahead.
Okay, let me see if I can share 3 articles, and I want to go back to some things that. Let me share this.
No yawning.
But I want to go. I want to go to the. Let's see, where is this? Yeah, I want to go to this. There are 3 articles that I want to display. I'm not going to read them, but you can just see what the headlines say. So Jeff Bezos.
You have to change, BZ. You have to change which screen you're sharing because you're sharing the same one you shared last time.
Oh well, I'm on the other one. Okay. Well, anyway, stop sharing. Okay. Stop sharing. Let me do this.
Are you talking to me?
Can you see Jeff Bezos?
No.
Okay, never mind. I'll just read from it. Here's NBC. Jeff Bezos defends Washington Post's decision to stop presidential endorsements days before the election. And all the people went nuts. Then the LA Times did it first. LA Times ripped for deplorable decision to not endorse Kamala Harris. I just canceled my subscription. And the top editor for the LA Times left. And then from the Washington Post, an article, an opinion from Jeff Bezos, the hard truth, Americans don't trust the news media. So going back, after having read that info, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely gobsmacked that stuff, number one, emerged. And number two, the question for everybody here is, if Trump loses, then what happens to these reaching across the aisle attempts by the American media maggots? Does that just exit stage left?
Gone. It'll be gone.
Yeah, it'll be gone. One of the other things you got to remember too, they've tried this before, and they've done it when they were already, and all those places were bleeding subscriptions prior. Don't let them fool you. But remember when the new boss at CNN came over, and he said, we're going to change how CNN works, and we're going to go back to the middle and just be real news agencies again. And it never happened.
Right.
It never happened. So I don't trust Bezos until I see it. What I see that as is an amazing stage act to try to save subscribers. It may blow up in his face a little bit, but one of the things the media does, and Aaron Burnett showed this earlier with the clip that Joe shared, is every once in a while, they have to come out and say something that's real, that's out of character for them to say, because they need 1 or 2 items a week that they can point back and say, no, we're objective. Look at this one article that we posted, or look at this one story that we covered. We're objective.
You want a good,
even though the rest of it's all bullshit.
You want a good example? Facebook.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg came out apologizing, and I'm more center. And it's the same shit going on at Facebook. They censor everything on the conservative side.
Nothing happened.
Everything else
we're
stole
smoked on Facebook.
What?
The SHR media? I know, but I mean, our numbers specifically were cut over 2/3. Hands down, once this election cycle ramped up at the end of September. 2/3 we were cut.
Well, which again clearly indicates to me that the Democrats and the leftists are just like communists. They respect nothing but naked wielded power. And if you don't smack them down, and if you don't wield that power, then they'll keep it's thug's law. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine, unless you can stop me. So it's true here. It will continue to be true.
And that goes to what the show's about. Tomorrow, get out and vote. We have to make this vote so loud that even these deaf bastards can hear that the country is tired of it. It's the only way it's going to do anything is if they get voted out of power. You have to.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. But I do have another point to make, because this is one of the things that I've been hearing a lot and I hear this a lot because I live in Oklahoma. Well, it's not going to matter if I vote because he wins all 77 counties. Let me change your mind about that. I don't care if you live in the bluest of blue states and you're a red voter. I don't care if you live in the reddest of red states and you're a red voter. There are 15 states in the District of Columbia that have signed a suicide pact stating that their electoral college votes are going to go to whoever wins the popular vote if it's enough to push them over 270. That group alone has over 190 of the EC votes, which means, now granted, if it goes the other way, they're going to find a way to not do it. But it's going to shut them up if we not only win the EC, but we also win the popular vote, because it's the only way to prove to them that we're tired of their stuff. So I get it. As conservatives, and I say this every show, we understand how things are supposed to work. We understand that trying to say you have to win the popular vote is like saying that the team that had the most runs or the most hits all throughout the World Series is the one that should have won the games. And I get that. But when you have 190 electoral votes that are now potentially swinging on the national popular vote, then you've got to learn to start playing by those rules so they know that they can't follow that anymore. Because I guarantee you, if we win the popular vote, they won't be wanting to do that anymore. And
Rick,
they won't be wanting to get rid of the EC.
You make an excellent point, because what happened in Oklahoma, I've discovered, has happened and is continuously happening here in Idaho. The people just assume that everyone historically has voted red. My neighbor's voting red. My friends are voting red. They don't need my vote. Everything's going to go red. But just like Jersey Joe said, man, that's why we're here tonight. Don't assume a thing.
Nothing.
Absolutely. Get out and vote. Don't think your neighbor's going to do it for you and pull that water. They're not. No red wave, no red tsunami. Every vote
message
counts.
Send the message.
Talk like you may be 20 points up, but act like you're about 30 points down. And you need to get the hell out there.
Well, and the other thing that we hear, right, as soon as the election cycle ended in 2016, what did we hear? The popular vote. They talked about and this comes as soon as it's almost like their worry stone or their whoopee or whatever you want to say, their safe place. When they lose, they talk about packing the court. The next time we get power, we have to pack the court.
DC.
We have to get rid of the electoral college because we keep winning the popular vote. And then when you drill down some of these people as to why the electoral college exists and how it creates equal representation. No, it doesn't. Well, no, it does.
Have a Democrat or a leftist explain the electoral college to you.
Not too long ago, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, this isn't fair. This isn't right. And then I started looking into it. I was like, holy shit, I was wrong. When I actually educated myself, I was like, all right, now I see the sense in this.
And if you go back and you read the founders' documents where they talk about the Greek Isles that were without power for years because of the popular vote, and they could not coalesce to actually elect a leader, that's one of the main things that they looked at, is just that mob rule is mob rule, and that's not acceptable because the people in cities don't necessarily represent the same values. The people in not just values, but the way of life that the rural people need, live. You can't have a banker in Boston deciding what a farmer in Oklahoma or Iowa or wherever else is going to do. It just doesn't work that way. And that's one of the other things the Electoral College did.
You can drill it down even further, though, because people that live a city life in Oklahoma don't have any idea what rural life in Oklahoma is like. I know this because I was a city kid who is now a rural kid, and I didn't think that anything like you see in Hallmark movies still existed in America. The little town of 700 people that's right next to me where my granddaughter goes to school, every holiday looks like a Hallmark movie.
Mhm.
Every single one. All the people are out in the streets. There's like for Halloween, it was door to door, kids everywhere. There was apple cider, there was this, and there was that. And Christmas is the same way. And it's just one of those things. And this is one of the things that I keep trying to explain to everybody who is bought into this whole leftist idea that we need to get ready for these 15-minute cities to where you live in an area where everything is 15 minutes away from you by foot. So it doesn't matter if you have a car or not. And I have to admit, that was one of the things that kind of weirded me out about Trump this cycle, is because he started talking about 15-minute freedom cities. And I was like, no, we don't know. We don't know.
Well, there's a difference between, I think there's a tremendous difference between.
Explained it, I got it. But in the very beginning, I was terrified.
But
no.
What do we see? And I always laugh about this. What do we see when people in cities take vacations? Where do they go? They go out into the country most of the time, or they get on a ship. But it's one of two, right? They go out into the country. They go into the woods. They go camping. They go to the resort, yada, 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 right? They don't want to be in the city, most people. They're forced to be in the city. I'm forced to be in the city. I've lived in
for 1 minute. That's it. Not politics, but one of my passions. So I want to bring this in and I figured it for once it's happening during my show, and I figured we could watch this as it goes. Sorry for jumping in like this.
Oh yeah.
No, see, I'm glad you did.
It's the resupply mission that's heading to the ISS.
Yeah, because Boeing was so good at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's politics. We're watching a rocket go up right now to DC. Jeez.
Boeing's looking at possibly selling now.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Well, Boeing's in all kinds of trouble.
Oh
yeah, no, it's
in so many different ways.
Yep.
I'm not a huge Tesla. I don't like the Tesla vehicles.
You see the camera starting to vibrate already?
Yep.
This is incredible.
That's some power.
Yeah.
And
the fact that he lands the boost.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Oh, that is beautiful.
That's so cool.
And we have liftoff. NASA's SpaceX 31st commercial resupply mission is on its way to the International Space Station, carrying science, supplies, and the spirit of exploration.
My house from here.
I will not touch it next week. Now on the West Coast. It's gorgeous watching that thing go up at night.
Now, during ascent, we will tilt or gimbal the engines, guiding the rocket into what we call a gravity turn. Now, during this turn, the vehicle is flying both up and horizontally away from the launch pad. The rocket
Power telemetry nominal.
typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
avoid getting pulled back down to Earth. You just heard that call out that Falcon 9 is supersonic. And shortly, we'll be throttling the engines back in preparation for max Q.
Max Q.
There's that call up for max Q. That's the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will see during ascent. And coming up shortly, we will have a few events in quick succession, starting with main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation,
Stage 2 engine chill.
second engine startup 1, and the boost back burn of the first stage.
This is at
You just heard the call out for the second stage engine chill, starting in preparation for that engine startup.
Hold on.
We are just about 30 seconds.
What were you saying?
It's probably Launch Pad 39 out of Kennedy Space Center.
Okay. That's awesome, though. Sorry, I couldn't hear you over the audio.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to watch that thing go, man.
You know, the interesting thing about this, because I saw Musk talk about this the other day, because everybody talks about SpaceX wouldn't be where it was if not for government subsidies and everything else. They're confusing Boeing and SpaceX because everything Musk has done has been without government subsidy.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
Well, they were paid, to do the program, and they got almost half of what Boeing did, and Boeing was never able to successfully really get off the ground. They got one mission up there, and
what was it? 1.5?
Yeah, but they had a leg up because they already had all the knowledge from the 60s of doing it.
Yep.
But did they really, though? Because I saw an interesting clip, and we talked about this on Juxtaposition, and it's one of the weirdest conspiracy theory episodes that we ever did. Because if you listen to some of the tapes from the 60s versus now, there were people saying now that they finally figured out how to deal with the Van Allen radiation belt. I'm like, wait a minute. Wouldn't we have had to have dealt with that back in the 60s if we went to the moon? I'm confused.
Well, it makes you wonder if people got sick from that.
Yeah,
I do want to remind everybody that you're listening to the pre-election coverage night on SHR Media.
But we're also nerds, which is why
we are also nerds. But we're with our good friends over at KLRN. Wherever you're watching from, please like and subscribe. It helps us with the algorithms. If you know anything about algorithms, you'll know shows like this do not get spread a lot unless you like and subscribe. So please do so wherever you're watching from.
Especially when you're competing with bigger networks that are pushing out like 60 and 70,000 on X right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting there, but it's still fun.
It's just so neat.
The one that amazed me when they land. You know?
Oh yeah. No, that's just beyond. That's still. I don't even know if my brain fully accepts that yet, because it's so unbelievable to think that they had a firecracker being caught by a set of Kinects. That's
the Starship. Yeah, that one is just these chopsticks come out and grab a skyscraper out of air.
Dude, you know how quickly a steak would cook on the side of that right now?
There wouldn't be anything left. Molecules, wafting, floating molecules.
You know, it's almost like the nuclear war, the frozen pizza theory, that at some point there's the perfect distance away from the blast zone where it'll cook all the pizzas just right. There has to be a distance from there that will absolutely be the right distance to cook. Oh, apparently Megyn Kelly. Well, and I knew she was speaking tonight. This from NCX in the chat room. Thank you. Megyn Kelly also endorsed Donald Trump, which I kind of assumed was going to happen. I didn't know if Joe Rogan was going to endorse anybody either way.
I think he finally just, realized that she's a bitch. I'm just gonna be.
I don't really think that her. I don't know. I think Joe's more level-headed in the sense that I don't think her deciding to come on his show or not made the decision for her. I think that he just made that decision on himself, which is pretty cool.
Now for Megyn Kelly, I mean,
it's actually for Megyn Kelly, it's kind of a big deal because there was some bad blood there for a while.
A lot of hate and discontent. Oh my
God! I wonder, is she doing it just for the money?
No, because she's been pretty pro-Trump this whole election cycle. I just think that, one of the things that you've seen, and I really think J.D. Vance is a great example of it. You saw people who had their initial impression of Trump change by how he was and how he has been. And I think that has been something that you look at all the people that he's been able to get to coalesce around him. RFK, Nicole Shanahan, Tulsi Gabbard, right? I mean, and not the only ones. There's a whole bunch of state level Dems that you don't realize that are pro-Trump because they don't get
Romero in California.
Yes.
Unprecedented.
Yep. 100%. So I think that the reality is the contrast, right? They look at who they were told Trump was. And then the other thing you've seen, though, this election is you have seen a different Trump running. He has the same Trumpisms. You have the same edge that Trump has, but he's also showed more of his human side. You see him more with kids. You see him more just talking to people. And I don't know.
Almost getting killed will do it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say.
One sense of mortality. Oh, yeah.
I hate to break it. We're going to have to go to break real quick.
Okay.
Do it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as a good revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Look at those old bastards go.
That's right. Right here, baby.
I read the Valera mark. Chair dancing is allowed around these parts, sir.
Yeah, I just got something on the phone. National Guard in Oregon, Washington State, Vegas, and Carson City, Nevada, extended fencing around the White House and the VP residence and the Treasury, expecting major civil unrest in case of Trump victory. Imagine that.
Well,
Yeah,
they
well-
also, I think it was last week. Sorry, Sean.
It's your show, bro. What are you apologizing for? We're just window dressing.
I think it was.
No, I got yelled at in the break.
Bitter party of one. Your table's waiting. Bitter party of one.
Last week they had the military.
I think we just ran him off his own network.
Banished. Banished. You're banished.
But they were landing what was it, Black Hawks with the military to simulate taking people out of the White House, evacuating them.
No, it was the Capitol building. They were practicing.
I thought it was White House. All right, thanks for correcting me. But
Yep.
yeah, they're doing a lot of that in the fencing up.
Can't imagine why.
So here's my question, though, right? So this makes no sense this time, because that's all we keep hearing is that if Trump loses, there will not be, or whether Trump wins or loses, there likely won't be a peaceful transition of power. He's not the one in the White House. So
No.
whose fault is it going to be if there's not a peaceful transition of power?
I don't know. I don't know why they even bring that
Jesus,
up.
Rick, what's wrong with you? Trump. God.
I forget who it is that has been keeping
Why,
Trump in the text. Will
I didn't realize I was on a network of Trump haters. So I do have a question about one of your commercials, though. Since when did women not like stiff things?
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. Hold on.
Go to California. Always spell it with a K. Then you'll see.
Yeah.
This is not a road we need to go down right now. I can already see where this is going to go. People
You
are
knew.
here.
I didn't
I
know
knew
the
that
door.
was going to happen when you invited me onto your network, sir.
Get out the votes. And also, let's watch rockets take off and talk about what women like. This is really stuck to the meat of the conversation right now. This is awesome.
Yeah, but that rocket launching is a symbol.
Considering everything about Trump is supposed to be a phallic symbol, we can 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon this though. Just saying.
Yeah, but
you think you enjoy that too much.
Idea of a foreigner coming to our country, becoming a billionaire and creating a private space industry. What?
I know. Let's deport somebody who's been helping our country. That's a great idea.
At first, I had no idea what he was talking about when he was talking about Elon and the space program. And he's like, yeah, we're talking about Trump. And he's like, yeah, a foreigner comes to our country. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure Trump was born here, dude.
But the rocket launch, because I said rocket launch earlier,
yes.
It's a symbol of what this country's about.
I agree.
Where you can come from another country and,
What the part that I love the most though, right, about all of that is you have the left whose whole mantra for the last 10 years is nobody's illegal. Oh, it turns out that Elon Musk might actually be an illegal immigrant. We should do something.
Only the people we deem illegal.
Yeah. Yes. I do want to get back to actually what BZ brought up about them fencing and preparing. It's really funny because the left loves to point to January 6th as conservatives by and large being unhinged and prone to violence. And it's amazing to me, there was after Trump, if I'm not remembering poorly, after Trump was elected the first time, there was protests where damage was done to property and a whole bunch of other stuff. Then you had the BLM riots, right? Then you had the Summer of Love. We had the George Floyd riots. We had all the riots over and over and over again. And if you look at, there are pictures being posted from downtown. I know Katie Palvich, a couple other people on X posted them from downtown DC. Everything's boarded up. Everything is getting boarded up. And I'll tell you right now, there's not a huge conservative population in DC that's going to magically flood the streets there. And I know January 6th was different because there was a big rally, yada, yada, yada. But it's not, they're not preparing for it in all these major cities because of conservative. We know that.
Yeah.
Well, there's only one side of the aisle that riots consistently.
Who took over Seattle and took over a police station in Seattle?
Oh, God. Billions and billions and billions of dollars of vandalism, destruction, property destroyed,
murders.
From the government property destroyed, commercial property destroyed, private property destroyed, 25 plus lives killed in the entire year of 2020, plus multiple thousands of law enforcement officers injured, people defaced, riots, arsons, all of that for the entire year. 3 hours, January 6th. Yeah, that's sure. Same thing. Insurrection.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about insurrection? Let's talk about creating what did they call it? What was it in Seattle? Basically,
Chop and Chaz, the Summer of Love.
Yeah, the whole completely. And what do they call it? An autonomous zone, meaning they basically withdrew from the entire city of Seattle, which would mean that and it was very violent, which is by definition what an insurrection is.
And they had
seceded from the state for like a month,
and they had shootings, stabbings, all the other things going on in there,
and murders.
It was not. I mean, it was not a pretty thing.
Peaceful
Summer of
Seattle Love. PD gave up. They relinquished a police
an entire station.
What the hell?
Don't even get me started on that shit. I mean, all of us, most of us come from similar backgrounds. Don't even get me started on that shit.
But also, what were our forefathers called?
Well, yeah,
I
mean,
insurrectionists.
They were insurrectionists. I mean, that's actually. I had somebody say that to me the other because Sam posted something. Chief editor of Twitchy posted something a couple of months ago talking about how it wasn't an insurrection, how our founding fathers would have been considered insurrectionists, and some leftists came up, they weren't insurrectionists, they were heroes. I'm like, you realize that they were by definition committing insurrection against the government of England, right?
It's amazing how they're only heroes when it meets their narrative. That's the other amazing thing.
Yeah, otherwise they're slave owning racist bastards, which is
So
also
you know what's hysterical? And I'm just looking at this right now, and actually I'm going to share this really quick. Share, yada yada yada. I don't want to auto add share. Get out of here. I want everyone to look at what I'm about to show you and tell me what seems oddly different about this. I'm going to mute it. Hold on.
one of these things is not like the other. Oh wait.
Okay.
While you're doing that, let me report this from Breitbart. Report: brace for unrest if Donald Trump wins. Democrats warn. Hello, anyone familiar with the phrase self-fulfilling prophecy? Americans should prepare for unrest if former President Donald Trump completes the greatest political comeback in modern American politics. Democrats warn. Democrats told the Wall Street Journal on Monday. Who's the party of violence? Ah, damn Republicans.
Always. I want you to take a look at this, and I want you just, it doesn't need to be said. This is some Yahoo speaking but this is from Tim Walz's X. This is live in Arizona, which it's funny that he's down in the Sun Belt state, but that's neither here nor there. Look at right here, the bottom left-hand corner. How many people are watching?
72,000?
172,000. Do you know how, if you've ever watched a Trump rally on X, how many people watch for Trumps? It gets into the millions. In the millions. This is a night before. This is the VP candidate for Democrats. He can't break 175K. Where is the excitement?
But wait,
and that's
they're going to kick our ass.
I'm just saying, we need to act like they're going to kick our ass. Because look, and I know we got what, 10 minutes left.
I know
you
to go up.
No, we can do 10 minutes. That's fine. Because we're going to be doing 7 hours tomorrow. So
yeah, that'll be enough.
Yeah, I think I'm good before we go into overtime.
Oh no! It's a cool video, but I want to make sure everybody watches this again before voting tomorrow.
Go for it.
I just want everybody. Where's mine? There it is. Listen to what our elected Democrat officials have to say about this election.
Jamie Raskin.
Helps if I unmute it.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
Jamie Raskin, that goes both ways, asshole.
He's a piece of shit. And look, there's a couple things that he said in that stick out. They have great protection. You notice how he threw that out when we know they hadn't had great protection. They have a great staff. Well, that's weird because they've been leaking like crazy over there.
And who got prosecuted at Kavanaugh's house for trying to storm him? Nobody.
Right. And for people who don't know, the 14th Amendment, Section 3 talks about disqualification of government officials for engaging in insurrection. Nobody has been charged with insurrection,
much less convicted.
Trump was charged with insurrection. You're wrong.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
One of the charges was insurrection, and he was found not guilty on it.
Oh,
one of the charges for the impeachment was insurrection.
Oh no! I mean, charged in a court.
We're talking, in a court.
Right.
That venue was
he was never. Yeah, he was never charged in a criminal court after the fact.
And even the
and
FBI
it was never upheld.
I mean, when the worst FBI in history, next to J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, says it didn't even meet the standard for an insurrection, that should tell you something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And that's why Raskin's a piece of shit. He'll always be a piece of shit. He has been a piece of shit. And it's when we talk about rhetoric and we talk about taking down the volume.
Quite enough in that sentence.
Well, because it's disgusting. It's gross. And what he's saying, he's telling Americans something that's false, but it's coming from a government official, is he does not qualify to be president because of an insurrection. He's making up a history that doesn't exist.
Well, that's what Democrats do.
Yeah, 100%.
That's been my favorite thing to explain to everybody is twofold, because they're like, well, if he's a felon, how come he can run for president and he can't vote? And I'm like, well, technically in Florida, he could vote even if he had been convicted, because Florida doesn't have that law. But the thing that nobody talks about, and because they don't educate people anymore, is there are two parts to a conviction in the American legal system. You have to have either a bench ruling from a judge or a jury verdict, and then you have to have a sentence. So until he's been sentenced, he hasn't been convicted of shit. And guess what? He's not going to be, because they keep throwing all these things out over and over and over again.
Well, and New York kicked that down the line because they see what's going on with the civil case in New York, where you have the judges talking about censuring the attorney general. That's why they kicked that down the line. They wanted to see what the way the judges were going to go on that. It had nothing to do with the election. They just didn't want to have their case thrown out before the election. It had nothing to do with where Trump was. It's if that got thrown out 3 weeks before the election, which if they appealed right away, it probably would have gone already.
Yeah.
That is just another massive blow and proof of the lawfare. Sorry, Joe.
No problem. Thank you for that. But the one thing I do want to also bring up is, now let's say tomorrow Trump wins. Can you imagine, what is it, January 20th?
Oh, the swearing in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris
more concerned
is
about
going to have to certify the vote.
I was going to say I'm more concerned about January 6th, because that's why they have in 25th Joe. She's the person that will be certifying the vote if she loses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and technically, she is the first female president. Joe Biden had to go under for surgery, and they had to swear her in as president.
That's actually true. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I did too. Let's not let them have that moment though, because they've forgotten it.
Move on. Nothing to see here.
No, actually, let them already have it. Now it's done. We don't even have to have that conversation ever again.
Be like, well, actually, wait. When he wins, that'll be how we calm them down. Well, technically, you've already had your first female president, because she got sworn in when he was under the knife. So you
for
should
6 hours.
But hey, it is what it is. We're going to go around and last thoughts, and I'll be nice, and I will start with Sean.
Oh, well, what's the occasion?
Great. Now he's going to burn 4 minutes because of shock.
I know, right?
I had to kiss my boss's ass a little bit.
I actually have nothing to say. No, I'm just kidding.
How can you tell the difference between his ass and his face?
They both have goatees. So
you're not helping your case there.
I know. We've said this several times tonight, and I'm just going to reiterate it one more time before we go off the air. You vote tomorrow no matter what. Don't think anyone's going to save you, because, as I've said before, if America falls, then nobody's coming to save us. Your vote, I don't care what district you're in, and I know we've talked about that. I don't care what state you're in. You need to vote. I'll tell you right now, to send the message of the popular vote and remove that argument for the next 4 years would be so delicious. You could taste it. Oh, just to not have to hear, well, the popular vote, she won by 30,000 people. And it's like, well, how many of those were legal ballots and not a Chinese student who, out of millions of votes, that number exists, and we don't know what it is. How many illegal votes are there, but we've proved that it's happened. It's important that you go. It's important that you vote. If you have sick and elderly friends, offer to take them. This is your civic duty. The founders entrusted this into us to choose our own leaders, that henceforth choose the path of our nation. You need to be a part of it. Nobody stays home. Everybody goes. We will see you tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it.
BZ.
Every vote counts. Every vote counts, because if you don't vote, this is what we're facing. We're facing packing the court. abortion. You're going to have murder at birth. You're going to make DC a state. You're going to make Puerto Rico a state. You're going to make Costa Rica a state. 2 obvious leftist senators each. They're going to end the filibuster. You're going to have unrealized gains, which will trickle down to you, by the way. You're going to have unending illegal invader flooding. You're going to have unending printed money. You're going to have unending weakness enabling global aggression. And you're going to have our acquiescence of sovereignty to all things UN and all things globalist and more. Next.
Rick.
All right. Well, how the hell do you follow that? I'm just going to say what I've been saying the entire time. Act like, and it just goes back to something that I've been saying. Talk like we're 30 points up. Act like we're 20 points down. You have to be projecting confidence to everybody else while at the same time making sure everybody understands how important your vote is. And this goes back to what we've been saying, and I've been saying now for weeks. This election is the one election that the popular vote can and should matter because we have to send a message to these people. So don't sit it out. Don't stay home. If you haven't voted, tomorrow's your day. If your friends haven't voted, tomorrow is their day. If you have to go get them and take them with you, if you're going to the same polling places, or even if you're not, take them with you. People need to understand that at this point, and this goes back to something that I've been saying for a long time, if America goes away, there's nowhere else for us to go. There is no safe place anymore. And regardless of how much the left tries to convince you that everything about our country is terrible and everything about our country is racist, if it was that bad, why does everybody try to get here? It's not that we don't want people to come here. It's that we want people to come here and respect what it is that has been built here. We heard it from Ilhan Omar's own people and from Rashida Tlaib's own people. The most of the Muslims that have come into those townships and areas did not come here to assimilate. They came here to colonize. This is why we have the laws that we have. We saw what happened when there was a population that was already here and we had colonization. That's why those laws exist, because at some point we became the native population and we don't want the same thing to happen to us that happened to them. I think that's it, because everybody else stole most of my answer.
All right. And as we step away from this one at a time, Sean, where can they find you? You're muted.
Helps if
Yep, Edge of Liberty, Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific.
We'll see you tomorrow night, Sean. Rick, where can they find you?
Find me at Rider73. I'll be live tomorrow on KLRN Radio from noon to 3, and then back doing our election coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we'll have some crossovers with these folks and a few other folks and be running until we either have results or until we pull our hair out. You can also follow along with the network at KLRN Radio and our news arm at Digital Beacon US.
See you tomorrow night. And I saved the best for last. BZ.
Hey, thanks. I greatly appreciate it, Jersey Joe. BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon every select Tuesday and Thursday night on SHR Media, the SHR Media YouTube channel, and the Rumble channel. I am basically your conservative Sherpa, guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. Gotta be there. Aloha. See you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night, bud. All right, and that's going to wrap it up for the show. I'm not going to give a closing argument because the three of them said it the best, and I don't think I could top it. Just make sure you go out and vote. There's no excuse why you can't get out and vote. There's organizations that are offering to help with even Uber rides if you have trouble getting there. Till tomorrow. That's right. Tomorrow we'll have SHR Media's election coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I usually make that joke as a smart-ass comment, and I totally screwed that up. And you can catch me, Jersey Joe, right here on the Reaver of Common Sense every Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till tomorrow night, people. Get out and vote.